class, among U.S. presidents, no one has reached a higher age than Jimmy Carter. All right, so elephant in the room here. As of the recording of this video, Jimmy Carter is alive, but he is 99 years old. He is in hospice care, and his wife recently died. All right, so it is quite likely this video could get outdated relatively quickly. Jimmy Carter was born October 1st, 1924, and he is alive. He's currently 99. As I said, he is the oldest president that we've ever had. His home state is Georgia, and by matter of religion, he is a Baptist. Okay. When it comes to religion, sometimes kind of a little bit of an aside for president. For Jimmy Carter, this has been very prominent in his public persona always. Okay. So, as I mentioned, Jimmy Carter was married to Rosalind Smith from 1946 until she just died this year. An astonishing 77-year-long marriage. Right. Now, they do have some prominent children. His son, Jack Carter, unsuccessfully ran for Senate in Nevada in 2006. And his grandson, Jason, unsuccessfully ran for governor of Georgia in 2014. So Jimmy Carter is a Democrat by trade. And when he was growing up, the Democrats were the only party in town when it came to Georgia politics. And elections were really decided in the primary between Democrats. So his term of office is going to be in January 20th, 1977 to January 20th, 1981. And his vice president is Walter Mondale. Walter Mondale just died a couple of years ago. So in the 1976 election, the two pairs running, it's Gerald Ford and Bob Dole, and then Jimmy Carter and Walter Mondale. Right? And every single person in that election in 1976 is going to lose a presidential election at the top of the ticket. They're also all going to live over the age of 90. Some extreme longevity out of this. All right, so something very well known about Jimmy Carter. He grew up in a small town. He is going to be a peanut farmer. All right, and then he gets elected to the Georgia State Senate in 1962. All right, so he's 38 when he takes office there. He had been in the Navy, but he's there right after World War II ends. So he doesn't actually see combat from World War II. So he was a senator for 4 years within Georgia, the state senator. And then in 1966, he tried to run for governor. Doesn't succeed. He runs in 1970, gets the Democratic nomination, and he wins. And in his first speech as governor of Georgia, he talks about that the era of segregation is over and for racial equality. And some people feel betrayed because he had not been so prominent in his campaigning as showing how against racism that he was and against segregation. So he's governor of Georgia. He gets elected in 1970 for it. But at the time, governors in Georgia could not seek re-election, at least not immediately. So his term ends in January 1975, and he really has nowhere to go. So he does a long shot run for the presidency, going for the nomination in 1976. And there are a lot more prominent people that are running in this. There is the governor of California, Jerry Brown. Right? There is previous notable segregationist George Wallace, governor of Alabama. And so Jimmy Carter seems pretty unknown. But one thing that he's going to notice is that the Iowa caucuses go first now. And so he's going to target that, and he's going to run ads showing him on his peanut farm, ads in Iowa. And so he does not win the Iowa caucus in 1976. He actually gets second place behind Uncommitted. But you can't write a headline Uncommitted. So what people do is they go, oh, Jimmy Carter won this. So he's going to manage to get the nomination. And in the previous presidential election in 1972, the Democratic nominee, George McGovern, had lost 49 states. So, and he was, a very liberal senator from South Dakota. Jimmy Carter is a much more moderate governor from the South. And so he's going up against Gerald Ford. And we have this election in 1976. It's an incredibly close election in both the popular vote as well as the Electoral College, but Jimmy Carter manages to win. And there are going to be, in a 6-election span, from 1968 to 1988, this is the only time a Democrat wins the presidency during this time. It's for Jimmy Carter. So Jimmy Carter beats Gerald Ford. He becomes president. And he is going to come in, and there are going to be some accomplishments that he does domestically. The Department of Energy is created under the Carter administration. The Department of Education is created under the Carter administration. Right? When it comes to international politics, he's going to have the Camp David Accords, where he's going to have Israel and Egypt normalize relations. And the two leaders of Israel and Egypt are going to get the Nobel Peace Prize for this. Carter will eventually get the Nobel Peace Prize, but that was for his humanitarian work after he was president. But the thing that is going to just completely overshadow his presidency is a year before the election, a bunch of Americans are held hostage in the Iran hostage crisis after the Iranian Revolution. And they are stuck in the theocratic regime of Iran. And there are attempts to get them out. One is a pretty notable failure. And so on election day, Jimmy Carter has not gotten the hostages out. And it's the year anniversary. That's what people are hearing on the TV as they're going to go vote. So he's going to be going up against a very well-known actor turned governor of California, Ronald Reagan, and Jimmy Carter is going to end up losing 40 states to Ronald Reagan. And a pretty blistering loss for re-election. So, kind of the odd thing is that when Jimmy Carter leaves office, he's not that old by presidential terms. He's 56. And so he has had an enormously long post-presidency. And as of the recording of this video, he's still alive 42 years afterwards. And he has put so much of his life dedicated to post-presidency to humanitarian work, specifically Habitat for Humanity, building houses, and he does manage to get a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. So Jimmy Carter is a person that I would put in the same type of category as John Adams or John Quincy Adams, where the stuff that they did outside of their presidency is really more notable than the stuff they did inside their presidency. So, Jimmy Carter is someone whose morals are generally not questioned and hopefully is still going strong when this video goes to air.